Alright, we're live. How much is the stream delay? Hopefully not too much. Okay. It's been a while since I've done this, so I don't really... I'm kind of at a bit of a loss of what to do. But I'll try my best. So hopefully it's all good and all that stuff, and you know, have a chill time. I'm not really expecting anyone to be able to watch this now, as this is live, but also just like a little stream so people can like tap back in, like fast forward, rewind, all that stuff later. Just as like a point of reference. This isn't a tutorial or anything along those lines. It's just I'm showing you how I've done things and how I've gotten to the point of how things look and what effects I may have used and why I may have used them, and maybe some little tips and tricks you can possibly incorporate into your own animations and workflow, and just overall have a better I guess like not understanding, but get an insight into how, you know, other people animate, and especially me, because I've been in the industry like 6 months now. I haven't really been super experienced yet, but I have been animating in After Effects for quite a while. But after joining the industry, it's been an eye-opener, to say the least, of how much having a good workflow matters. And especially when you're working with other people, it is a game changer to actually be organized. Wow, who would have thought? Not me. Anyways, so let's get started, shall we? I shan't keep everyone waiting, but feel free to pop any questions and I'll do my best to answer them. If there's anything that you're confused on or stuck on, please, again, just, don't be afraid to ask. I'm more than happy to help. Let me quickly promote the stream on my Twitter, and then we'll get started. And I hope the jazz is okay. I hope we're having a good, relaxed time, because I'm feeling quite relaxed right now, so. Oh, whoa. Okay, it's working. That's great. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so I'll go on a little breakdown, I guess, of each of my sequences. So the way I do a lot of things is I'll break it up. Especially when you're doing like a CB crunch and stuff like that. A lot of the time, you know, you have very short time to work with, and you want to be as efficient with your time as possible. And especially if you're a solo animating, it can be quite hard to make a full MV on your own. So you want to essentially min-max the time and effort you're going to be putting into this, essentially. So I separate things by doing, so I have the song and I separate all the different sections. So I separate, if the second there's a change in the music, I'll separate it. So if there's if we're transitioning between verse and pre-chorus, like that's something that I'll mark and I'll change, and I'll cut that there. I'll make a separate part. But if the verse has like 2 parts to it, it really depends on the context of the song and what you're doing. but because sometimes you'll need to separate it and sometimes you won't. It is better to separate it first and then decide later, I don't think I need to separate it, and then you can just remove the marker. You know, you can just be like, oh, okay, let me count this all as one part. And then if there are any parts that are duplicated, so usually choruses, and especially in a lot of like modern metal and pop songs and stuff like that, a lot of the choruses and pre-choruses will be repeated, or they'll have a lot of repetition in them, and it'll make it a lot easier to copy and paste. And copy and pasting, especially when you're in a time crunch, it's very good, very convenient, very nice. We like that. And so by having these parts that I can copy and paste, I know I only need to focus my time on making one animated chorus and have that be as polished as possible. And then I can copy and paste that. And if there's a lyric change, I'll set up the composition in a way that I can change that. And I will also show you how I would go about doing that. It's probably not the best way, especially when you're in a time crunch. You're typically not thinking straight anyway, so a lot of the time you're just like, you're making some kind of dumb decisions, but you just, you know, your brain is just scrambling to find the quickest way to do something. So that's, you know, sometimes it's logic, sometimes it's not, but it's okay. Okay, so in this one, how I have separated things. So as you can see up here, I have many markers, and these markers will be your best friend. If you want to know how to make a marker, this little button right here. And each marker will create a number in order. So it'll go 1, 2, however many numbers you have. So in this case, this is 53, possibly. 53 might be the highest number of this one. It's the highest number I can see right now. That's not important. And markers, you'll be able to see if you right click on a marker and go into settings, you'll see this little tab pop up. And this is where you can type in your little, this is where you can like set up markers and have like your sections be a little bit more prominent. So let's say this section 39 is the outro. So let's call this outro. And then just press enter or okay. And here you are, your little tag says outro now. I didn't do that for this because again, time crunch, that was one of the last things on my mind, but it is very good practice to do that in case, you know, you need to find something quickly. You don't want to be scrolling through your composition all the time to try and find compositions that are labeled. Instead, you've got your markers up here so you can see where things are. So yeah, I will usually start by listening to the song in full in my After Effects. There'll usually be nothing in here except just the track. So I'll just have this track and then I'll listen to it in its entirety. And as I'm listening to it, I'll pause and I'll create a marker at each of the changes in the song. So where I think that I'll probably be making a cut, or if I feel like I'm going to have too many cuts in this that I don't want to do each individual cut, I'll do each individual part like section. So there will be multiple cuts in one section. So see this section? Between the 3 and the 41, there's 2 cuts here. And so, to me, that's a little section. So, sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. Again, it's just really personal preference. So, I hope that's not too loud. That's probably really loud. Oh, no, it's not. I turned it down. Okay. So this entire part, this is the intro. Okay, so I don't know if you're following along, but each I kind of alternated between doing sections and doing cuts, but I think for the most part I settled on doing cuts for this one. But yeah, so you can see all the different cuts at all the different changes. And it just helps me think about how detailed I want to make this and how long I want to make cuts and stuff like that. What frame speed do I work in? 24 FPS? I usually personally work in 30. So these are my comp specs. FPS, the generally speaking, 24 is the standard. For MVs, personally, I find 30 works a little bit better. Because I can just get a little bit more control over the keyframes. I have a little bit more space, I should say. Also, welcome Wanda and Seal. Welcome. Good to see you guys here. But yeah, 30 FPS, 24 is standard. 60, you can do 60. It is just very smooth. And it is just quite unnecessary to have 60 because a lot of devices will default to 24 to 30 FPS. And yeah, YouTube will compress 60 FPS as well. So yeah. Inspired me to try out metal screaming. Oh my god. I'm glad. I hope it's going well. But yeah. So there's that. I won't lie, I was a bit lazy. This intro part was actually the last thing I did. I did it in about like 5 minutes thrown together because I left it so last minute because I really did not want to do it. Because to me, the intro is like, it's quite difficult to build an intro when you haven't built anything yet. Like, usually you want to build your scenes first. You want to think about your aesthetics. Well, you should have already thought about your aesthetics and stuff like that before you've gotten into your project file. But typically building your chorus or your verses first is better because you can start to, keep building up. You can start to keep layering and then figure out the direction that you're going in, if it's going with your idea or if it's straying down a path but you're still liking it and stuff. And it's, you're giving yourself room to like adjust things. The intro should sort of like help grab the viewer in and just be very engaging, I guess. You don't want the intro to be super boring, so you just sort of leave the intro last because it can be like a little summary or a taster of what's to come, and it's very easy to grab those elements if you've already built it. So you don't need to build anything from scratch or waste time here. You can just grab from elsewhere in your composition. And it's quite convenient if you're on a time crunch, as I mentioned before. Okay, so let's jump into this first verse. Also, I just realized why these aren't in line. It's because I moved my entire comp over to fit in the flash warning. So if I moved everything over, it'd line up perfectly with these. But yeah. Anyways, jumping into verse 1. So I have labeled everything as verse 1, verse 2, pre-chorus, pre-chorus 2, pre-chorus, chorus 2, all that stuff. You should add a seal in the next video. Yeah, I'll think about it. I'll think about it if I'm allowed to. Okay. So, let me go through the layering of this because it's quite a lot of layering. Okay, I'll just go in and isolate everything one by one so I can show you what I did. Okay, so here we just have gradient background. The gradient background, I like it because it helps bring in light and dark. So I can have that little bit of like nice contrast and have a little bit of like almost like a directional light almost. And just, it doesn't make the background look flat and lifeless. It adds a little bit of that depth that I'm looking for. So yeah, if I take this off, as you can see, it's just white underneath, and it looks a bit flat. So bringing in that, you can see down here lightens a little bit, and up here becomes a little bit darker, and it helps bring more attention to the character's face. Here, oh, what is this? This is a little like hand blood splatter. I have, if I just take this off, so this is just a PNG that I don't have just like a transparent version of. There are better ways to do this, but I chose to do Luma key. So Luma key, essentially, you can select if you want the lighter values or the darker values to be removed. I keyed out the darker values because red is darker than white, obviously. And then I just added a toner to change the color. You can use a toner, you can use a fill, it doesn't really matter. I think toner works better here because fill will usually cover up the whole composition or the whole image, especially if it's masked. Okay, and here we have Mork, our lovely Mork. And there's nothing on him, it's just his sprite. Here we have just a wiggle position. So this adds a little bit of a shaky camera to help not make it feel so static. Adds a little bit of life. Here, what is this? We have, I believe this is a, ooh, okay. So I have matted this solid layer to Mork, so it adds like a little vignette around him. There are probably better ways to do this, but I guess this is how I did that because I must have just been messing around with effects. But still a very cool thing to do. And if you want to know how to do that, so you come into your track rat, this will just have nothing connected to it. And then you want to select your layer you want to mat it to. So I want to mat it to Mork's layer, so I'll just find Mork's layer, which is layer 185. So I'll just go down 185. I'll select it, and then I have it masked. Oh, okay, sort of saving. If I open this, as you can see, whoops, I have it feathered and yeah, little vignette. Also, a fun tip, if you want to see everything that you're animating, so let's say Mork's layer, right? Actually, no, this is probably a bad example. Let's select what would be moving. Actually, yeah, no, let's go back to this layer, this vignette. Wait, what? This vignette we have of Mork. So if I want to see all of the keyframes within my comp, actually, do I have a null? I do have a null. So if I want to quickly open up this null and see all of the properties that I've adjusted and that aren't default, I'll just double press U. So if I press U once, open that, if I double press U, I guess it depends on your controls. Sometimes it's double pressed, sometimes it's only once. But U will open up this and it'll show all of your keyframes. I had only used position in this, so it's only going to show me my position ones. This one, I again only use position, so it's only going to show me position. So that's a neat little trick that's very handy. Okay, so here we have like a little, these are meant, so these Venetian blinds, I wanted them to look like blinds, you know, I want it to look like light. There's like light coming in, shooting in, but there's like these bars that are stopping the light and they're moving. So there's like the shadow that's moving and being reflected on him. And here we just have like a mask, a fun little mask. And I have some masked out shapes on the layer underneath it. So this solid layer is just matted to this black layer with all the masks, just to create a unique border shape almost. I just thought it was fun. it creates a cool little effect. Whoops, here we have a hand x-ray. This one is moving, so I can see that. Press U. This is just moving slowly. Yeah, just panning a little bit. What is this? This camera lens blur. So this is just a blur for the intro, just as an opening transition. Camera lens blur can look great. I find it looks quite nice. Great opening sequence. And here I have some little effects. So find edges, and then I find edges with invert, and they're both on screen. This is just like a cool little glitchy effect to sort of, you know, get a uniquely styled overlay. And this, I have a little blur masked in a unique shape. So this section is all blurred, and it helps bring, you know, it helps mute this section and helps bring attention more to the center of the piece. And here we just have text. This text is literally just a copy pasta. It does not mean anything. It's just a copy pasta about being emo or something like that, I'm pretty sure. Nothing crazy. And then here's a bug aesthetic that our illustrator Zido drew. It's quite beautiful, cool, creepy. I love it. And it's just there for decoration. No special purpose. And here is one of the main things that I use. This is another asset drawn by our amazing artist Zido. Zido had like a bunch of really creepy textures and meshes and stuff like that they used. Incorporating a lot of the motifs and design elements within our illustrations. That is just sort of like a shadow of a person rotting away. And it's just really cool and unique. And there's so many different things happening that it works so nicely as like just like a general overlay texture. And I used it here, just like this handprint that's sort of like bloody and fading away. Yes, you can hide lorem ipsum for texture purposes. That is something you can do. You can do anything. There's nothing saying you can't do it. But, you know, why not? If you want to have like an edgy overlay, then you can do that. Oh, also, I forgot to mention with this, so if you want to have this like grungy look that sort of looks like it's like from an old text, you can add an effect called roughen edges, and essentially it'll roughen the edges. And you can play around with the settings and get a bunch of different styles of it and stuff like that. I think I went pretty default with my settings. I just wanted a little bit of a texture because I don't want it to have too much texture because I'm going to be adding so many textures on top of it already that I don't want to become invisible, you know what I mean? So yeah, I use that like splatter thing, and I have it on subtract. So if it was normal, it'd look like that. Subtract darkens the values and makes it look ooky spooky and creepy. Yeah, there's no real thinking behind a lot of these. It's just, you know, playing around with a lot of the effects and just seeing what's really cool. And then here it's just like a blood or like liquid drooping effect that, you know, it just looks cool. It adds to the creepiness, you know. It does help add to the story as well, as like, you know, one is bleeding out, withering away, which is sort of the whole concept of our round 2, is that like we're essentially just rotting away. And this Christmas thing, it's just another bloody handprint that I have hiding in the corner, as you can see. You can probably see it here. Yeah, it's just very subtle details that add a lot. You know, there's a lot of layers here, as you can see, that just you probably couldn't tell, but yeah, now that you see it, you'll probably notice it a lot more. And then here we just have our camera movements. So this is just panning out with a There's thunder, it's gonna storm. So yeah, this one's just the drift. So this is just like slowly drifting out. So it's like a constant pan with no easing or anything like that. And then this one is the transition itself. So this one zooms out again. Okay, I won't go into too much detail with the layering now. I'll just like do a general overview because pretty much all of the effects and layers that I used here, I've consistently used throughout. So once you get an understanding of, so once you've realized what I've used here, you'll start to notice it a lot more and how much I use it throughout. Because again, like I said before, when you build the verse, it's a lot easier to, build the verse or the chorus, it's a lot easier to then move on to the next sections, either subtracting from so building the chorus to the verse, you're probably going to subtract from the chorus, so the chorus has more impact and the verse is a little bit more subtle. Or you're going to do the opposite. You're going to have the verses, you're going to have a strong foundation of the verses, and then keep adding more to your choruses. So there's a lot more substance in your choruses. There's no real right or wrong way to do it. It's just to help your workflow. I think I'm noticing it a lot more, the textures. But welcome, mate. Okay, so here, wait. What is this? This is just a dust particle overlay that I have going over I think mostly the whole thing. I still have a few effects to go through, so I'll probably just keep doing that. So here we have a posterized time. Posterized time just lowers the frame rate without actually lowering the frame rate of your composition. So I actually animating this, my composition is in 30 FPS, but I'm adding this effect to drop the frame rate down to 8. So this whole section has a frame rate of 8. And then this frame rate here that I cut was 14 FPS. Any updates on future projects that you can share? Not at the moment. I am working on stuff, but nothing that is in production at the moment. So fortunately, I have nothing to share. Oh yes, these two effects here are nothing. These are just references for color correction and overlays that I have over here in my main comp. So I don't want to double up, so I get rid of it. I just have them there while I'm animating so I can quickly see without having to switch comps. And over here I have my typography. My typography is actually quite simple. It's just, whoops. If I solo these, pull down, cut. Actually, if I do this small, pull down, slide to the right. I mean left. So yeah, I didn't think too much of it. I wanted the typography to be quite simple on this one. I didn't think it needed to be anything crazy because it is going quite slow. So just making the visuals have that sort of aesthetic and emotion I was trying to convey. So here we have, we have hands in the background, and we have even more layering and glitching effects. We have a little, so have that overlaid on the top just to keep adding, more overlays, add more stuff. When you're going for like a creepy maximalist sort of style, like that's what you want to do. Even if you think, oh, this might not work, you can make it work. You can force it to work. So yeah. How many layers are in one thing? I have pre-comped all of these. If I were to count them, so this composition, this first verse 1 has 185 layers. Pre-chorus has 120. So that's already 300. This chorus has 321. So that's 621. And then, you know, there's probably a bunch more. So at least 1,000. Oops. Oh my days. Yeah, that's a lot. There's a lot going on. Yeah, so this is just panning up. I've got the hands in the background panning up as well. I mean, panning up. Everything here is panning out, not up. And then yeah, here again, just panning out. Super simple, nothing crazy. Just lots of effects. And here in the background, actually, I've swapped the background to have a different setting. I'm using an image here. So this image is like a dark hallway. And I've sort of set it up so it looks like my character is in the setting. And with layering, whoop, 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 whoop. Whoops. As you can see, that changed a lot. So layering matters. Yeah. I think that's about as much as I'm going to go into for that one because there's really not a lot here. Here, I can talk about this one a little bit. So this one, the way I set this up is there are 2 skeletons. Whoops. Yes. So these look like eyes. That was the intention, to look like eyes. These are actually from a butterfly. So if I remove the mask here and open this image, this is from a butterfly image. And it looks quite creepy, which is why I went for it. So yeah, it's sort of meant to look like they're staring down at you. How do I decide what assets I use? So I will make a mood board. I can actually pull this up. I will pull up my mood board right now. Here we go. So this is the mood board I went with. This is what I wanted to make. And so I knew I needed to look for assets that had this same sort of vibe. In my head, I already knew I wanted to include imagery of skeletons and x-rays and stuff like that. And with the help of my artist as well, my artist was giving me the idea of like rotting, decaying corpses and stuff like that. So with that, naturally, like you want to think of butterflies, moths, and like those sorts of bugs that have a lot of symbolism alongside them. And yeah, so that was like just sort of the natural idea progression of that. What software is this again? This is After Effects. So to collate my assets, a lot of what I do is I just search like the keywords that I'm looking for on like on just your general free image PNG sites that are like royalty copyright free or whatever. And I get stuff like that. And sometimes you run into stuff that just gives you more ideas and be like, oh, this is reminding me of this. I think this will be really cool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a lot of trial and error. But if you have a strong vision, typically you can make it work out. But sigilism, so real. I love me and my sigilism. But yeah, I hope this makes you feel kind of creeped out, like there's something watching you, because that was the point. And as I hope you can see them here now. Okay, here they are. So here I have 2 x-rays that are just on either side. It creates like a little border almost. And then in the background, is it this one? No. It's this one. No, I'm wrong. Oh my god. Wait, I was looking at the wrong one. Here. So here is just like a close-up of a skeleton. Like a rib cage. And it's a really cool shot. So I don't have anything on this. This image is literally just as it is. But I wanted to essentially use it as like a cage almost. I wanted to feel like it's trapping you in. Kind of like a spring lock, you know? Like you're trapped here. And that was sort of the vibe I'm conveying here. Like my character is in the middle. He's stuck in the middle. 6 feet in the dirt and he's still breathing. So it's like you're stuck. You're stuck rotting. It's eating you alive. And yeah, here it's a lot more simpler of a composition. And here I added a little bit of just glitches, handprint in the middle to make it look like clawing, like you're clawing out, like get me out of here, like I'm stuck. But it's like you're being buried alive. And if I go here, I made a little like heartbeat. If you want to know how to make this, it's quite easy. So I just made a shape layer. And yeah, just make the heartbeat, you know, pulse, the heart pulse on a shape layer the way you want. Make it a stroke and stuff like that. And then what you want to do on your shape layer, on the stroke, is go into taper and then adjust the taper. So it tapers at the ends, so it doesn't have a harsh line and it goes quite thin and it just looks a little bit more delicate. And then the trim paths. So the trim paths, essentially what it does is it brings the end or the start to the end and just animates a line like that, and that's it. That's all I did for that. And yeah, I added that because, yeah, if my heart stops beating, it beats and then it flatlines. But I feel like I could have conveyed this a little bit better, but, you know, again, time crunch. This was the best I could think of at the time. Okay, so that's all of verse 1. I will go, well, actually, yeah, so here, these orange comps here, this is a extension called AE Juice, and you have to pay for these packs. You can buy a bunch of different packs. I have this VHS one, and it comes with a bunch of different like presets that you can use whenever you want, and they're really cool. They can provide some really cool effects and overlays and stuff like that, and make things look quite authentic and like creepy and stuff. And I thought that'd be great vibe to have. And so I'm not quite sure which one I had. What was this called? VHS standard one. This one. That's this one right here. So yeah, just drag and drop that on top. I have the opacity set down to 40, so it's not so strong. And that's about it. It adds like a little bit of that texture and grip. And I have to be careful of where I place this, because in a place like this, it adds too much here and it doesn't need it. So I'm only adding it in spots that I feel like look better with it. Okay, and now for the chorus. I'm only going to go over the chorus once because it repeats. So it's going to be the same for the other 2 times it plays out. Okay, the chorus is a lot, so I'm going to try and make it pretty quick and not too long and a bore. Okay, so with the chorus, God, there's quite a lot, but that's okay. We wanted the chorus to be a lot because it has more impact, you know. I wanted to feel like it really had packed a punch. Looking back at it now, there's a lot of areas I could improve, and there's a lot of things I would do differently. And, you know, generally speaking, I feel like that's, you know, a lot of cases. This came out a couple months ago already, and, you know, time crunch. I know I keep using that as an excuse, but it's true. Time crunch, you know. I feel like I could do so much better. So I will do my best to try and, you know, explain, you know, this is, you know, you can totally do this, but here's like how you can improve that and make it better, you know. Don't do it the way I did it, because I could kind of flopped in some parts, but that's okay. Okay, so here I want it to be like a little glitch of like little flashes of everyone sort of like having these like hallucinations almost, having these moments of weakness almost, and so everyone is sort of like glitching out, and here it's like inverted and just a bunch of different scenes happening all at once. So if I play it, and it's quite glitchy, and it's sort of like, you know, dramatic. Whoa, so edgy, so cool. Here, there's an X-ray overlay on top. As you can see, the bone hands here. And then here I have a smear that's smearing his head here. If I take that off. Smear is quite a heavy plugin. It is free. It is native to AE. But yeah, it is quite heavy. So just be careful when you're using it. And yeah, I just have like a little handprint over the entire thing. And then I have like some glitching like splatters and stuff to make it look a little bit more animated and alive. The more things that are moving, the better. If things stand still for a little bit too long, like a couple frames can really make a big difference. So yeah, just adding cool layers here and there. Again, using the AE juice stuff, just to bring in a little bit more life. Here are the hands. This one you can't really see it, but there's more, and then it still says hey here. And then there's it's all in black, but the hands behind it just adds some really cool texture. Texturally, very nice. Even if, you know, you can't really see it very well at the moment. And here I needed to include like the sync. And I don't know if you noticed, but throughout the whole video, so through each chorus, so the first, second, and third chorus, there are 3 variants of these hands. So in version 1, the hands are pretty clean. Version 2, the hands are a little bit dirtier. Version 3, the hands are the dirtiest. And you can sort of see I've already done that as well, like during these flashes. But yeah, it's just panning out, just making the most out of the textures and stuff to make it more interesting. Give me a moment. Okay, sorry. Okay, and then here I have like, it's zooming in, and I will break down these layers because, you know, it's a new composition. I will start from the bottom. So here we have this same image, but at a different shot, just to bring in a new background. We have our sprites, and I have them set in a 3D space, so they're a bit apart from each other. Let's have a view from the left. There we go. And these are all in a 3D space, so it doesn't feel so flat. And here we just have our null layers. These are controlling the cameras. There's really nothing else moving aside from these layers here, because everything else on top of here is just our overlays. So that's what makes the bulk of this project. And here we have our handprint, and this is on a difference layer mode. Here we have an X-ray overlay. I've set it to vivid light with the opacity at 32. So it creates like an interesting light, gives some new dimension. Our little bug friend here for decoration. Our lovely, our distressed illustration. Our blood dripping animation. Another handprint on difference layer mode. Adjustment layer transform. So this, what is this doing? This is our shake. So camera shake. I like to manually do my camera shakes. It adds a little bit more impact in that BAM! You know, like a little bit of an explosion. And then we have our wiggle. So our wiggle, again, like I mentioned before, just brings in that little bit of life. And it's, you know, doesn't make things feel so still. And yeah, so that's that. It's zooming in. And the camera, all the cameras are doing. So it zooms in and it's slowly rotating before zooming in again and doing another rotation. And then this one up here is just doing a constant drift, zoom in and rotation following everything that's happening here. A tip I like to keep in mind is whatever value I'm animating here, I will also make a drift value animating here, even if it's just like a degree or two. It's moving like +1 pixel or something. A little bit of it will make a difference. And then here is just a cool little sequence of dark side flashing of all of us three, like just flickering on, like ba ba ba. And yeah, this is just zooming in. And then a cool thing I did is CC wide time. Now CC wide time, if I didn't have it, it wouldn't look so streaky, and it'd look, let's just isolate this for a moment. It would look like that, but if I add it in, it's gonna look way cooler. It's gonna make everything look a little bit more blurry and bring everything in together a little bit nicer. So yeah. And then just scattering all the effects and stuff like that. And then here we have a 3D room, and this time the camera is moving on a, I think this is like a Y axis. So it's like rotating, like panning down and up. So if I open these, oh, X position, not Y position, X position. So yep, it's sort of like going, so let's say, let's use this as an example. The screen is here. My camera pictures are 1, 2, 3, facing this way, right? Here is the front. The camera is sort of going woo up here, so we're going in a curve from down here, curving all the way up here. And that's sort of the intention behind it. You want it to make it look like, oh, we're like rolling through this. And so, yeah, adding a bunch of effects and distortion effects and stuff like that to make it look really cool. Again, I used my AE juice pack to help create these distortion effects. So going through all of that. And then, yep, I have a little toner that inverts it. I could have just used an invert, but I think I wanted it black and white specifically. So I inverted it using the toner to make it black and white, an inverted black and white, and not just invert with a bunch of different colors. And yeah, there's that same shot we used. My heart stops beating at the end of the first verse. So using that same composition here, but I've removed a little bit to make it stand out a little bit more. And I think I've added typography on top of it. Did I not? Oh, it's all right. And then that same thing I did here with the CC wide time, over and over, as it's like meant to be like cyclical. It just keeps happening. We're stuck in a cycle, you know. And then here, I've just got quite a simple composition actually. So white solid, this one, gradient for that depth again. Then we have some flames, like a little border flame, just to give something new. I feel like maybe this wasn't that fitting because it is so visually different from everything else. But yeah, I maybe should have like roughened this up a bit, maybe just stressed it a little bit and stuff, but oh well. Yeah, with our layers on top, and then all of these. Adjustment layer is just the transform. I believe this is a shake again. I've moved it 2 frames away because this is operating on a lower frame rate. This can benefit off of starting later, a few frames later, because if it was here, by the time the frames are playing on the screen, this shake, the height of the effect would have already passed, and what's the word? The climax would have already passed by the time the shot already pops up. So to avoid that, you bring it fast, and optically it works. It works optically, even if it's not correct in the comp, and you take away the posterized time, it works. And yeah, here another bug, and then our overlay again, just playing with curves, posterized time, toner, and our wiggle, just to again make it look like it's alive, like it's moving. And then we have our AE juice pack again, our borders, even more borders again. I feel like I should have distressed this or something to make it looks like it actually fits in. More borders. And this adjustment layer is a wiggle position. Again, have it on everything so it makes it look like it's moving and more alive. And then, what is this? This is that same overlay we used before. And then our X-ray, which is right here. I've used this for the border. So this X-ray you can see here, there's a little border here, but yeah. Oops. So that's how this whole composition came together. And then I have some little like just flashing overlays to make it look like we're in a dream. So optical diffusion. This might take a moment. So it's essentially diffusing everything, make it look like it's glowing without actually glowing. It's sort of like a soft glow diffuse. And see, this looks quite cool. I quite like this. It's interesting. I feel like I could have played more with this, but I didn't think of that at the time, I guess. And yeah, essentially, so this second half of the chorus repeats. So I'm using a lot of the same stuff. Again, same as the first part. Same as the first part. Actually, no, this is a little bit different. So, Can't Trust Myself Tonight. I'm using quite a lot of the same things. As you can see, this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. All this is background, that same background we used. These hands that we have here, I have them blurred so it looks like there's a little bit of depth happening here. Like when things are close to the camera, they're blurry. When things are further away, they're more in focus. Because the camera's focusing on where the light is being brought in. So having Mork here. And on Mork, I believe I have a find edges effect on him. So it's just something interesting, just playing with effects, seeing what works. I found it quite interesting, so I kept it on. And then our bleeding, and that's it. And then, what is this? This is a camera lens blur, so this is just that. And then the camera is just, it's just rotating out with having a slight rotation to it. And that's all that is. And then up here are all these effects. Okay. So here we have another handprint, another X-ray. As you can see, it's just on top. There's the bone here. And because X-rays typically, they are black and white, but sometimes you'll get some with color in them. As you can see, there's a little bit of blue here. And with the curves, that has brought that out tremendously. Brought out those values. And when it's on vivid light, it makes it even more obvious. A little bug friend. Our distressed illustration. More texture. What is this? This is that video texture. What is this one? Is this the dust? No? Oh, that's that bleeding one. Yes, that bleeding handprint again. And then wiggle and a post-rest time. And then on top we have a little, oh no, this is just a glitch. So I have this going for 1, 2, 3, 4 frames, 4 frames each. Because on posterized time, it'll go by a lot quicker optically. So yeah, just letting that pass through. And then Momo's one is the same thing, same build pretty much, just different character. And then the same thing as over here with the wide time, but this time everyone is inverted and it's going backwards. And then can you talk me off the ledge again? So this scene is the same, it's just cut in half and zoomed in before moving to the left. And one major thing I wanted to really use was pixel sorter, because pixel sorter, it feels like an acidic melt. It feels like you're melting, like you're being like ripped digitally, and it's quite a cool effect. And so let me break this one down. Starting from the background, this is a car park. It's quite a nice image. I've inverted it to make it look creepy, but also bright. Want it to be inviting a little bit. Not really. And we have my sprite on top. And then we have, again, we're bringing back the skeleton to make it feel like trapped. We can't escape this hell. We're in like a jail, you know? We have the eyes again watching us. And then we have a handprint over it, so it's like, I don't know if you've seen those images, but like when it's like ripping, like you're grabbing at your skin and your face and you're like ripping it, quite gruesome, but you know, quite cool. And here we have an X-ray over the top, just a shoulder X-ray. And I have this on overlay, so it creates cool contrast. Our bug, this is a different bug. This is like a rotting, blossoming bug. Quite cool. I quite like it. We have it mirrored again. So down here, up here. So it's sort of like bordering. And then our distress illustration on subtract. Camera lens blur for that transition. And then our null layers, and that's it. And then we have our pixel sorter over the top. That is just... yeah. And you can see the eyes here. They look a lot more sinister. And... oh no, you think your L is still raw? Go cook it more. Go put it in the stove. But yeah. And then the topography here is just flashing on and off. Because it didn't need any fancy typography. It just needed to have something simple to really... you know, hammer in that style, I guess. I really wanted that, like, I'm so emo style, I guess. And I think that helps convey that. And so, yeah, that's already a majority of the video explained. Like, I've just, you know, gone through it a little bit. So yeah, here is the verse. There's nothing really new here. I guess I can go through it. This second chorus I won't go through. I will go through this part here. I won't go through these parts because these are all essentially just repeated. Okay, you know what, let's start with this one. These ones are quite quick, so it shouldn't be too hard or long to get through. Awesome work, thank you. Okay, so here I wanted these parts to feel like, you know, following the lyrics, something's crawling, footsteps in the basement. So I want to show you guys something funny quickly. Do you guys see that? I snuck a few of these in. Do you see that? I hope you like what you see because oh god, where is the image for that? I have a few of these scattered around. Oh, it's this one. I have these wolves scattered all around the video, and you'll never know because I'll never tell you where the others are, but that is one. That is where one of them is. But yeah, I wanted this scene to sort of feel like something's coming, we don't know what, it's picking us apart, and it's what's haunting us, it's what's killing us, essentially. So, you know, just trying to make it feel like I'm alone. Oh god, like I've given up. It's coming for me one day and it's gonna be my time. And it's just like you become sort of crazed at this thought that you just you're going to get ripped apart and used for some sick, I don't know, to be someone's food, you know, this thing's going to kill you. And here, so I set up this scene. This one was pretty fun. So we have a little bug, and then this, so this X-ray, I have like it's like a little specimen, so like in his head, it's not the same, obviously, like it's kind of hard to get an X-ray of a bug, when something's like this, so like just, I don't know. It's on screen for like a second, so it really did not matter too much. And here we have this X-ray of this person doing like an OK hand symbol, and I thought I could use it to make it look like this person is holding the bug. And it's like picking it apart and like inspecting this like specimen. So that was really cool and really fun to think of. And then on top of that, I have, where is it? Oh, never mind, forgive me. I thought I had like a different frame on it, but it's just the same. Okay, and here, footsteps in the basement. Obviously, I use Momo's feet in like a hallway. As you can see, we've got the handprint here again. We've got that same like staircase background to make it look like, ooh, footsteps in the hallway, who is it? And because we haven't seen Momo yet, we don't really know what this is or why. And here we have this scene of Momo where she's decaying, and then these hands come in and she's like chained up, and it's sort of like this mental prison. You're physically free, but you're trapped. And then this one's very similar to the previous one with Mork, where we've got the find edges on the character, no background, it's just overlays. We have a vignette to put a spotlight on her, essentially, and a Venetian blinds again to feel like we have that light coming in. There's a light coming in and we're hiding, and these bars are like moving. We have that same border, pixely border, that emo thingy again, copy pasta, the bug, bleeding overlay, handprint, and stuff like that. So as you can see, like a lot of this is just repeated. Like as I mentioned before, and I'll mention again, like when you build something really solid the first time, it's quite easy to make your video feel consistent, to keep using that and to keep using a lot of those elements within that shot, especially during the verses, because I built the verses, so like a pretty solid like run of the verses, so it made it quite easy to build something, and if I wanted to change something, I could just easily move things around, or I've already conjured up some new ideas on how to go about like new scenes and stuff like that. Okay, and here is the pre-chorus of the second. Well, the first chorus didn't have a pre-chorus really, but there's a second pre-chorus technically. So these ones, it's me and Mork singing. Apologize for the audio. This is the time tune version. This is a mixed version of the song. So you're kind of hearing it a little bit raw, which it's okay. So with the way that my with the way our characters are illustrated, I wanted it to look like that Mork is sort of like everyone's making each other suffer, but also trying to protect each other from like this horror that we don't know, which is ourselves. But yeah, simply breaking this down again, we've seen everything in here. This is nothing new, but the typography again, it's 2 lines split here, 1, 2, these pull up, this pulls down, and again it mirrors the same thing. And the camera, all this is doing exactly what we did before, where we've sort of going like, this is the front, and we're going around up to the top in the 3D space. So we're going around, coming up to the top, and then doing the same thing here, where we're on an angle looking down on them. And it looks quite cool. I quite like this angle, because it's not like flat out just staring at them like this, but looking at them like this up here. And then we've seen this shot before. There's nothing new here. And then we've seen this shot before. It's just changed to Mork to fit him singing here. And then again, change to Mork to fit him singing here. It's exactly the same as Momo's. Just copy pasted. And now, here comes the fun part. Not the pre-chorus, the bridge? I would call this the bridge. So this part was kind of my favorite part animating, because it's just a lot of glitching, a lot of, hey, yeah, that looks cool, let's just roll with that, So my bitrate is low. I don't really know how to change that. That is okay. Okay, so. Here, it's pretty much the same scene as his first verse. It's very similar. I think I added, like, there is something here. The Venetian blinds and stuff like that. It's just the way that's set up, but virtually exactly the same, except the background this time, it's the decaying hands, the rotting hands. And it's like, we're grabbing him, we're pulling him under. And then these are just glitching effects. It's just a bunch of cuts. It's very random. There's nothing organized about this, which is kind of the point. I don't want it to be like, you know. And a lot of these are just inverted images. And this is previously animated as well in one of the cuts, I think in Momo's part. So I just copied that because I thought that would look really cool here. And again, it's just the image. And then I have an overlay image of, this radiology scan. I thought looked really cool as like a border here, so I kept that. Yeah. What is that's a typography. As you see here, the typography it's not really doing anything. But I pre-comped it all, and then I added a wiggle on top of it with a posterized time. So if I do this, it's shaking very slowly, but it's sort of kind of like a collage-y sort of effect, which is what I wanted. And it looks really cool, quite simple. So if you just follow this, posterized time, frame rate of 5 FPS, and then 2 wiggle speed and 5 wiggle amount. You can do that too, and you just play around with the settings, do whatever you want. And then memories, because it's Momo's eye, she's like seeing back, are haunting me. So it's like we've woken up from our dream, and again we've got these hands that are grabbing us, pulling us under. A sickness taking over, so it's like we're suffering together. These noise lines in the background. This is a new element that I feel like I should have used a little bit more, but I didn't really think about it until it was a bit too late. So that's okay. I would have definitely added this or just left it out. But it does, in this section here, it does add a little bit. Because it is not a focal point and it is in the background, it's not an overlay. It does a little bit to, you know, add some coolness, some swag to it. And yeah, just our splatter distressed PNG on top. Nothing much here. And a lot of cuts in between with like a lot of blank space. And this helps bring in that feeling of like nothingness. Nothing needs to be there, you know? So Bury Me Alive. A lot of these, it's just, again, that collage-y sort of effect where things are just cut. There's no really specific way this is done. It's just like cut here, however long I think things should go for. Like there's a frame here. Visually, you won't see it because the frame rate, again, is quite low. So optically, that didn't really matter, but you know. The way I did these, I don't even think, yeah, these are just like panning right to left. So these aren't really moving that much anyways. It's all of these that are just clipping. So we have like a, whoa. Oh, there's another one. There's another one for you guys. Another wolf. And then, yeah, just adding x-rays, but like as pin lights and stuff like that, just changing the layer modes just to see what's interesting and what interesting effects we can get and stuff. Just playing around with that and effects. So I have something going on here. What's going on here? Find edges, roughen edges. Oh, I have a displacement map. That's what's going on here. So displacement map just to make it quite distorted. And then there's nowhere left to hide, where there's a bright flashlight on us. We've been spotted. And there's a bug. It's like it's like this bug has been caught and is like, you know those books where you can inspect bugs? That's essentially what I wanted to come from this. And it just like glitches and fades away because it's like we're getting removed from the system. This part was really fun. I really like this one. So this is just black background, nothing here. Oh, I have an invert on it. Okay, that's why. So I wanted the background to match. So there's my like distressed one. Oh, null. I should probably bring these in. An adjustment layer, there's the invert. And then a wiggle, a vector. What is this one? This is, that overlay video. An X-ray to get that border, that cool border that I really like. And then again, AE juice. Oh, this is that glitch here. That's what's creating that. It's quite cool. And that's all that scene is. And this is just zooming out. This zooms out, and on these, I have a little cut here, so it just zooms out at this point, halfway through, because it felt like it needed it visually to make it a bit more interesting to have it zoom out. Okay, and the cool thing with the topography is just, it's so simple. There's nothing here, so just the goodbye flashes. I have the optical diffusion again, so it's got a little bit of that diffused edge. Oh, can't really see it very well. But it's got that diffused edge. It looks like it's blurred a little bit. Goodbye, cause maybe and all I did was I just spammed the eye. So this is just a bunch of eyes. And then I added a typewriter effect. So if I add in this typewriter effect here, I'll just add it and then adjust the keyframe. So typewriter effect is quite long, so it'll probably, like, the end keyframe will be over here. So I just want to drag that along here, so it just does that. And that's all that is. Quite cool. And then on this, I added an optics compensation, which helps it look more like it's in a TV, I guess. So if yeah. And then we can do the inverse, where if you want it, like, it's like caging you in. That's also an option. But yeah. Otherwise it looked too flat like that. But that also looks cool. I just prefer how it looked like that. Maybe I will miss you when I'm gone. This scene. Where are we? So this is a font. I have, whoops, let me just duplicate this. So here, this font is called Masked Down 1, and it's like a metal font. Very metal, you know, very cool. But I just have the S, and then I put the anchor point down the bottom, so I can just rotate it. And I have 5 of these rotating, and it's created a cool little hexagon in the middle. I mean pentagon, not hexagon, lol. And then I've pre-comped it so it spins. How cool. Oh yeah, it's just a cool little background element. So we've got this, me, Mork, and I'm behind it. Mork is in front, and it just helps create like a little bit of depth and adds, you know, a little bit of layering. And then we've got that same mask, like blurring mask edge thing. It's really cool. Add the bug back in again. We've got our overlay of the OK hand and the radiology border, but this time it's on a subtract. So it's subtracting, and yeah, it looks quite cool. I really like it. Actually, that looks sick right here. I could have done something here. Yeah, it's just about playing with it, but you know. And then our wiggle, a vector of the bleeding, the that little cinema thingy. Camera lens blur for distortion. The intro. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Maybe I won't miss me when I'm gone, and it's pretty much the same scene but with my like decaying sprite and AE pixel sorter. So if I take this off, yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same. It's just about layering. Oh, and a cool thing with pixel sorter you can do if you want to have it look like this pixelated thing, because pixel sorter itself won't do this, it'll be quite thin lines. You can add a mosaic, and a mosaic will make it look tiled. So you can add the mosaic either under or on top of the pixel sorter. They will have different outcomes, not drastically different outcomes, but they will look a little bit different. I prefer it underneath because it looks a little bit sharper. Because the pixel sorter is bringing down the shapes a lot better and clearer. Mosaic being on top will just make the pixel sorter look really blocky without it looking super glitchy. So that's just something to keep in mind. And so I have these cut. I could just animate them and like hold the keyframe, but I guess I was just lazy and cut them. So this one is 200 by 200, this middle one is 100 by 100, and this one is 50 by 50. And so the squares are go from small to big to bigger, and this helps it look more mosaic-like. And then I have it cut off, so it's just a little bit more glitchy. And that's all there is to that. And then here we have this is something quite simple. I'm not going to go through that because that's everything that we've gone through previously. And here is the chorus, and the ending is literally just copy pasted of everything that's happened. So nothing new happens there. I'm going to go through a little bit about like this whole composition of where everything sits as a whole. And then I will wrap up. So far, how long has this been? An hour 22? I'm confused. Sorry. 82 minutes. Oh, okay. Hasn't even been an hour and a half yet. Lol. Wait, what? It's been 2 hours? Wait, what? I'm so confused. Anyways, doesn't matter. Literally does not matter. Okay. So, this intro, as you can see from what I built before, this composition is exactly, this composition here. But I've just blacked out my sprite as it's like a taster of what's coming. And here, dark side is just glitching, invert, make it bigger with a little black screen to make it like flicker. And then, yep, just inverting colors. So that's all that is. Emo's not dead, we're panning out. And then, yep, it's that same shot again when we're zoomed in, but this time still blacked out. We've got credits on screen just so it's easy to see. And then we glitch onto the first screen. And here we have an overlay. This is like a gritty texture overlay. It just adds a little bit. I don't think I did too much to this. Yeah. I think it's just on a screen. That's all. And then here we have our magic bullet looks, which changes a lot. I have it quite desaturated and green. I think green is quite a creepy color, and you know, it looks a lot better than it without it. And then we just have our, we have our border, which helps, you know. And then we have a little flash warning, and that's it. And then I've just, you know, gone in and added some, there's another wolf, extra like glitches here and there that I think could work, or like that I want to be on top of in between these cuts and sections. So it can act as a little bit as a flicker transition and just work a little bit nicer. And yeah, so that's all of that. I hope you guys liked that, because, well, that's it. That's all I have to show you. I don't really have anything else to show you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to ask any comments and questions. I'll do my best to answer them. You can ask me about Twitter, stuff like that, Discord, YouTube, whatever. I will do my best to answer. I will not be giving away these project files. Please do not ask for them. And please do not take everything I say here super seriously. Like, again, motion design is an art. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is just how I've gone about doing stuff, and yeah, appreciate it, and I hope people can learn something from this. Okay,